I wake up and I see Chris Bledsoe has already posted an article out of the UK, out of like the Daily Mail UK, and it's about two U.S. senators talking about the UFOs or of God. Well, then Chris Bledsoe's book is UFO of God, and me knowing that like my interaction with him and his family, and what the people who the scientists that are surrounding him, the authors, the indigenous people, and knowing that like, oh, when I went to last year, when I went to New York City, I was sitting right next to people that very right after that conference happened, they were in DC with Senator Burchett, Tim Burchett. They were with Senator Tim Burchett, and that's the same person that's talking about UFOs are this with the God energy on Earth, and so this is connecting dots in ways that I don't know that people really can understand, that the energy is connected to a reoccurring God energy on earth that comes on cycles. And the Christians even know about it. They freaking know about it. There's no reason to get angry or upset or aggro. They freaking know it. It's right in front of their faces. The ancient paintings show it right in front of their faces. It's the freaking jellyfish tentacles. It's the discs in the sky. It's the lights in the sky. All of that's happening, and now we have senators who have definitely received the secret briefings. Why would grown ass men and women come out of a secret briefing be talking about stuff like this? It makes no sense. That's not what they're there to do, but it's something that's intersecting with us. And so it's amazing if you're really following this, because the dots are connected. They're connected. You just have to follow the dots, and we don't actually have to follow the dots because it's unfolding. There's nothing nefarious. It's happening right in front of us. And it's where we have to get people to understand that it's happening right in front of us. It's not happened in the past, or it's going to happen. It's happening right now. And now we're saying crazy things and doing crazy things and thinking crazy things. Well, if this is true, well, if these jellyfish things have been painted on ancient paintings, and they're next to like mythical people, or people like Jesus, or people like Dionysus, or people like Osiris, or um, people like indigenous elders as well. Well, then what do we do with this? What are we supposed to do with this? And I think that the answer is inward for the people that have already intersected with it and know that it's connected to the mother Gaia energy on earth, because that's what they all are. And why does this make sense? It's understanding that there's actual writings. Harvard has writings in 2012 that was reconfirmed in 2016 to not be fake or anything. It's like there are things within mythologies or things that have been written that may be a little bit different, and if we open our eyes a little bit, we'll see that they're unfolding, not because of anything, because we're humans, and like archaeology is a science, and that's the people that find things, and they found a lot of things that um that world religions have chosen not to catch up to. They've chosen, and for my part, as a person who was very much raised, or have a world Christian worldview, been baptized in multiple Christian churches, different denominations throughout the world, married a Southern Baptist minister's daughter. I have an idea about um, religion, but what my own perspective, but what I learned about that is that whatever's unfolding is that plus whatever other world religions are out there. It's over all of it. It's something unfolding that's over all of that, and that's the most amazing thing about it.
Mhm. That's what I love about it. Is it's like, oh, it connects again, it connects again, it connects again. So to me, like my brain is like, that's truth if it's connecting over and over again.
That's the that's one thing I found. Jamie, I don't know, you're doing this thing with other people now, and you're starting to do the thing that you and I have done. And you were talking to me about Shelly wanting to come on the podcast, and I already knew this was happening because I knew when I went to that comedy show and she saw, like, well, she had already seen the comedy show with Dave Hill before, so she already saw the interaction and knew. But when I looked over and I saw tears coming down her, I knew she was experiencing something that I've experienced over and over, all over this nation, going and seeing and understanding that the person that that's being presented in front of me has great awesomeness energy in it, and it's very emotional, and they bring about very intense love energy that is well, I saw that come out of her, and I knew that that was going to be part of our journey. I knew that that was going to be part of our journey. And what's she doing? Talking about writing a book now, right?
She is writing a book.
What's she doing? And her journey, it'll be cool to tell it because her journey definitely has to do with like stuff that's affected my, like, there's some things that are very similar to what's happened with one of my children, even, and with Hunter, even. And so and somehow figured a way out, somehow did something that I know as a mental health therapist that's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to get out of the matrix of this mental health world that we live in. And so I see her as like a gift to an additive.
She's amazing. Like, I
Right.
love talking to her. I
I
joke
think
around. I'm
it's
like, you connect neurons in my brain. You just do it. You just make things make sense. Like she says it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I never thought about it like that.
yeah, and I think it's this energy that you guys keep saying that you're looking forward to whenever you meet. Oh my gosh, don't you know this is running through me? I've gone and seen messengers or great fractals of energy, and no real one-on-one communication at all. Just people that I'm just trying to figure out, trying to it's 11:53 right now as I'm saying that, but
It's
I,
one
I
five three
yeah,
here.
yeah. So it's just people that I feel the energy about, and it's so confusing, and it probably confusing to them too. Um, but but if I'm going inward, and all I know is that I'm on this hero's journey, the what happens after mental health healing on the warriors, it's spiritual. Well, what do the ancient texts talk about the spiritual journey? It's comical. It's comical. You put yourself, you got placed in positions, and you just had things done to you. You did things that is just the most mind blowing things that don't match what we should be doing here on earth. And then somehow you figured out how to get that. And if you can figure out the people on the other side, which is what we've done with a lot of healing, the veterans healing journeys, like when they bring warriors to on opposing sides of the battlefield, oftentimes there's a lot of hugging and crying and joy.
Who
Direct,
knew?
right, right. And so these old people from like World War II have shown me the way forward. My father is a Vietnam veteran, Purple Heart veteran, combat infantry veteran, who's shown me that the way forward is not an angry old veteran who's hurt on in every other way, but how did you get through it? He's shown me a way of getting through it. He's right. And so that's what I guess what I've learned in this path is that it for me, as long as I've gone inward and started, when I stopped pointing my fingers at other people and started going inward, is when everything magical in my life started happening. It's when all of the stuff started happening in the VA, all of the stuff started happening with the Wounded Warrior Project. It's why I got nominated nationally for an award while for doing what I was doing. It's the reason that I got asked to work in multiple veteran treatment courts, 3 different veteran treatment courts. Why? Because somehow I learned an ability to articulate, I'm not better than you. I didn't get caught. Here's what I should have done, could have done. And I would teach you to do better. And I teach you to do right now, because my journey's been very dark and very, everything will get stripped from you if you don't start making progress towards healing yourself. And so everything, and then how you and I are extending that, we're just learning that we have to extend that. It's just telling people this energy heals with inward. It comes from in.
Yes. And we're all looking out. That's the biggest surprise. Amazing.
Yeah. When I see the UFOs, when I go outside, I feel like I can feel the energy. And I go outside and I've seen it with my family members. I now know I it feels like it's at the end of the sentence and it's just inside of you. It's just connected to you. So that the journey inwards, you're not going to see it. If you want to see it, you have to ask to see it. How do you do it? You just go inward. Can I see you, please? It's not hard. It's another living, it's another intelligence. It really, it's like it looks at us like when you walk by an ant farm on an ant hill, on it looks like who's talking to the individual ant that's saying something, right? That's what, there's 8 billion of us. It doesn't care unless you're one of the ones that says, hey, can I see you?
Right. Because not many of us have been doing that for a really long time.
And they can help us on the sun cycle.
Mhm.
They are affected by the sun cycle too. They want us to know they are affected by the sun cycle. They want us to know that the earth has to make changes on the sun cycle, and they will help the humans adjust to those changes as best they can.
So they don't sound, that doesn't sound evil to me.
No, no, it's them showing, hey, we're giving you the olive branch, and it's very clear. I'm telling everybody they've given us technology. We are to utilize the technology. As a child, I was shown these others. If what I'm connected to is the same thing that the Bledsoes are connected to, and that's one of the things, the questions we should ask. Am I connected to the same thing that the Bledsoes are connected to? Because I think I am. And what they showed me was insane use of technology and earth healing for years.
That's what I
And
was shown. Yeah.
I don't know what,
Technology in a lab, a medical lab, is what I was shown. How are our stories like this? So, you know what I mean? So similar with that.
yeah. So if we have technologies in lab, technologies in on earth, then and then we know that our government has maybe created some insane technologies, then maybe we should explore that and then realize that what are the gifts that that ancient mythologies and texts are talking about. What are the gifts that all of these texts talk about? They actually talk about giving gifts, from angels giving gifts. And so what would be the gifts? And um, where is the gifting field? Where is the United States of America's gifting field that is officially recognized by the people and the intelligence people of receiving gifts from the others? It's what is it, 12 o'clock? 12
Sure.
o'clock, bell is tolling. What are the gifts?
Where is the gifting field? Gotta
Where's the
find
gift field? Hunter's gonna make some Tai Chi tea right now.
it. Is he really?
Yeah, I've already put the water in the kettle
Mhm.
for our itch. You want some tea, bro? If you're making tea, I'll have some tea. I don't need a big glass because I have the coffee,
You let me know. Thank you, tea.
whatever you bring me.
Hunter, where's the gifting field? I'm cheating on my own.
Hun- Hunter, say hi to Jamie.
Hello.
Hi, Hunter.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm gonna make some tea.
Oh my God.
Just
No.
that whole area, yeah, that whole area. I go up the river each week, up to a month. You know what's funny about that? They just fucking got done replacing them. Why? Because of the Holiday Farm fire. That fire that started the day that you know that, yep. They just got done replacing all of those for the fires. Now they're gonna replace. I'm telling you, I went up there. It's even worse than the fires. It's even worse. Like there's so many down power lines, and they're all brand new. I'm telling you, it's going to take us so long time.
What?
And this is how big of a thing it was. It was telephone lines that on the west side of Eugene. So this is all east of Eugene, but I live on the west side of Eugene towards the coast. On the west side of Eugene, towards the outskirts, over by the ponds, they set up a railroad stop place to just drop off fucking telephone poles to do they even to make telephone poles right fucking there next to the fucking train tracks, because there were so many goddamn telephone poles from the fires in Oregon that they had to fucking make a makeshift staging area. They're going to have to use that goddamn staging area again to make the same goddamn telephone poles that were just breaking. And this is like this power thing. This is all about the power. This is like people who own the power make us go through this.
We don't have to.
Like, yeah, this is stupid. And then I was telling Laura, I said, guess what symbol it gave to you and me? We live a house on a hill. We did not lose power. All of our power lines are underground. We live in a house on a hill. We are privileged.
Right.
We're privileged people, and we're so privileged that we know to keep the power, and we know that we have to protect the power from its source to our home, and we do that by putting it underground. And the other people, they don't get that. You got to pay the big dollars to get in the big people's houses to get that privilege. See, this is what it wants me to even talk about my own privilege that I'm living in, that I'm part of,
Right.
so that we can see that yes, this is true. He does live on a house. He didn't lose power. Everybody else that lives down there in Eugene, they're fucking trying to figure out how to live with nothing next to the fucking motorhome trailer place that has so much power it has signs on it, it will fucking electrocute you to death if you touch it.
Right. It makes no fucking sense. Except for that we just keep allowing it to happen.
Yeah, we allow it to happen for no reason. Did you get an STI? Is that
A
your
what?
STI awareness shirt?
No, this is my Battlehawk shirt.
Oh, is that an oh, you got an STI shirt on?
STL, St. Louis,
Oh, it looks like an eye.
Battlehawks, and then some hawks.
Okay. I didn't know. I don't know who they are.
Well, they're our football team. It's the only one we have,
Okay.
unfortunately. And I think it's actually called something else now.
So I think that means my Hunter's going to be happy then today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll tell you, my dad is handling this like a champ. He's like, when you listen to my dad, he's like, well, It could be worse. I could be in one of those countries where we're struggling about getting bombed and stuff. And, the first thing out of my dad's is like, it could be worse. Like, he hasn't had a shower. He's 70, having his 76th birthday in an ice storm with no pot power, with no heat, with a dog that's just barking and barking. And then, I'm like, yeah, we've spent birthdays in the combat zone. We have a little bit of different perspective of all of this. It's like, as long as you're pretty much just kind of, and he's like, I'm not cold. I have enough layers on. It's just kind of boring, right? But all of that'll go away.
Yeah.
Which is what happened. It's all going to go away.
Soon. Hopefully he gets power today. Today. So Chris Bledsoe put out some posts. That's what you were saying. I was trying to find those. Try another way.
Well, it's his post about the Daily UK post. It's kind of important because it's just senators now talking about the God piece of this. And, I won't get any, you're not going to get me going down. I just let everybody know you're not getting me going down some road of sticking a round hole in a square circle or something like that. This God energy is for all. It is not owned by a world religion that it compart that controls any part of the United States government or any part of any world religion or anything. It is bigger than that. It is so big that like people like Chris Bledsoe or like, you better tell the Vatican, and the United States government did tell the Vatican. I would encourage people, if you hear this and you go, well, that's really funny, I don't know if I believe that or whatnot, I'd encourage you to go find the pictures and go find the truth on whether there was an entourage, a group that went to the Vatican to talk about the Chris Bledsoe stuff. We should get to that piece of this journey at some point, of enough people that are interested in finding truth to find out if that was happening. We should get there at some point. We should get there. We should get to enough people asking that question. Who are those people? Dr. Diana Pasulka and NASA's Timothy Taylor. I don't think Timothy Taylor wants so much for people to know everything about this, but guess what? Timothy Taylor was touched by the others, just like um, just like Gary Nolan at Stanford. And Timothy Taylor is one of the people that's helping to bring healing technologies. Now, what's important is the people that have been touched by the others and bringing healing technologies, they're going to bring it in another bigger way. They're going to help show us the way that, like, Chris Bledsoe, were you healed from this? Yes. Anthony Kennedy, were you healed from this? Yes. Robert McGuire, did you get some healing? Was there healing stuff? Yes. Gary Nolan, what did you receive on the technology side? Did you receive anything from the technology side about the phenomena with healing? Yes or no? And then we'll get to Tim Taylor too. And then we'll just go, oh, there's something about these others that they like to give us stuff. And then we'll go, well, it seems like they gave us a whole bunch of stuff for technology, but it only went to the Department of Defense and intelligence programs. And so I have to ask humans, on at least in America, is that the only place that we want our UFO technology, our gifts from the others? And I'm under the interpretation, if I go inward, that I don't think all of the technologies that are from the others should be for military or for just intelligence purposes. Because what I know as a master level social worker is that many of the things that we fight about and argue about on Earth will be alleviated, which is basic needs being met, like safe food, safe water, safe shelter, and a way to thrive. Maybe the free energy in the UFO patented interstellar device that the US Navy is using, maybe that energy could help with that. Maybe it could help with that. Maybe, yeah. and it's it says artificially generated. It says art. I don't know what to tell people. It's a patent that our government owns, and we're seeing triangular stuff fly around, and there's something that has great energy, gosh, people, it seems to me like there's a big carrot there. Like it doesn't seem like funny, haha, you know what I mean? For us, we're telling everybody, and it's not little green men, right? We're like, oh my gosh, people, we're excited about it. We're like, this is real, this is coming out.
And it's not what you thought. It's not what you thought at all.
It's not what I thought at all.
No.
We got tea right here.
Having a
Tea.
tea party.
You hear it ringing right now?
Yes, I do, in my left ear.
Holy shit, man. What is
Holy
it?
shit. I've been
It
hearing a
is.
lot of ringing today.
That is-
Okay, so what we were talking about, right? So like people at one of the things that people ask me a lot is like whenever you're telling people like to go inward more, like that's very confusing and that's very hard for people. So like for you, whenever you started doing that, like what was that like? Like what could you, especially like I don't mean to like sound this way, but like a male, right? Like males aren't so used to like, and it's like us females too, but we're more supposed to like be known for like, you know, facing like our emotions because we're like supposed to be emotional, but men are not really considered that. So like whenever you were going through your process, like what did you do? Like how did you go inward? Like how did you find like that strength to go inward?
Hmm.
Or were you getting like signs in your life and you felt like you were getting like help and guidance, like something pushing you and you were
Well,
just
there was at some point in my in this journey, the day that I had my near death experience, I had nothing about dying in it. I had nothing, no thoughts of nothing negative or anything like that. And so um I knew inside of me I was affected by something that I was not aware of. And to be honest, I thought it was my care team, the guy that was my prescriber in the VA was fucking fired. That's the fucking, there's the bottom line to it. The guy that was my prescriber was fired, not because of me. I was one of many who went through one of the things that everybody knows, that veterans, they were prescribing us these pills that were making us do things to ourselves. And I was one of these people. And so at some point of this, I knew that there was Anthony Kennedy involved in this, but there was something other, and I knew that it wasn't just me. And then that's how I found strength, is knowing that there were other people affected by something. And that journey was, how did I get a journey? It was sitting with a team. It was with my therapist. So finding the right therapist help you, the finding the right therapist to help you look inward, and it may be learning to have counselors of wisdom who help cultivate the inward journey, cultivate, well, why do you feel like that? Well, what makes you feel that way? For me, the inward journey began with, a lot of it began with my own sexuality and who I am on earth, right? So living a very wanting to live a very open, free lifestyle, but not being able to do that because I don't know how to communicate that outwardly, but then trying to communicate it outwardly and not being received, because not because anybody's wrong or anything like that. People awaken to whoever, whatever they are inside, as a process. And so those people that can't grow together, well, they grow separate, right? And so you can't ever understand the reasoning for that unless you go inward. And then part of that inward journey, as you're exploring it, um, relieves the other people of, it relieves you of being angry at other people, and only hope that you didn't hurt them so much that you could find truth, that you could find peace with it, right? Because we're all here on this journey together. And so the journey inward for me, the easiest way to, that I think you could cultivate that in without any therapist or anything, is spending time moving, walking in the wilderness. It will probably, and just and asking spirit to guide you. You can ask to see, some people will know that some people will listen to the senators. They'll go online, they'll look at senators, and they'll immediately go, oh my gosh, something's happening with what they're talking about, gods and lights in the sky and mythology. Holy shit. And they'll just start moving towards truth, trying that inward journey and asking to see if the magic's really here on the sun cycle. Can I see it? Yes or no? And realizing that when I say it's an inward journey, those times in the wilderness are what gets that question into an answer. So the question into the answer requires action. So it requires a thought, what's your thought, and then a heartfelt words that match your heart. So it has to be genuine, like childlike. Like there is nothing in me that was like, can I see you UFOs? Wait, so I can go get my camera, and then I'm going to go get my gun so I can shoot you. There was none of that. I was like, can I see you? Can I see you? Can I see you? Right. And then can I see you with someone else? And it wouldn't even let me. It made me feel all embarrassed. And then it started letting me see it with, first it showed me itself through an owl with Laura. All right. Can I see you? The same feeling, but an owl appeared. And then like just having that experience is like crazy in itself and
Right,
hard.
because some of us are thinking that we're like not seeing phenomena, right? Like that's one of the things that Shelly and I was talking about. And we're gonna like have like a podcast about this. But like literally, like you think that you're not seeing this stuff, but it's around you all the time. You're just not observing it. And whenever you start, learning about it and you like even dip a little bit back into your past, you're like, oh, there it was, there it was, there it was, there it was. And I think that's like
Right.
the hardest part for us to understand is it's because like we haven't like physically seen things to where we could be like, that's a definite answer for what that is.
Right. And it's like, we have to connect the dots. It's like, it's really hard to connect the dots, but if made, like when people really understand how many millions of dollars went to investigate UFOs and cows, right? And then people go, oh, that's dollars. Yeah, that's dollars. That's tax dollars. That's not, ha ha. That's not the little crew out there with spray paint cans making laser incisions in cattle and calling that Satanist. No, it's laser precision, no blood. All the blood's removed. There's nothing grows on the ground underneath it. And there's the parts that they're taking that the government knows about.
Yeah, and the
It,
others are literally throwing flags on the play, showing us like, hey, look, look, like that doesn't sound devious to me either. Because that's like part of this, right? People are like a little freaked out about like the AI connection, and
yeah,
like trying to like understand it. It's not that's not devious. Trying
you're
to show us
you're
DNA.
sharing. You're saying exactly what it is because I know in my journey what it is. Show me. Hunter's here. He was with me in October when we were sitting at Skyview Park, October of 2020, when we saw these like orangish amber things. That was the night before. There's an NPR article of the next day. It's reported that there were cattle mutilations in Eastern Oregon. And we saw the pink things that are sometimes associated with those. So I don't see that as nefarious because I already read the report. Yeah, it went and tested 2 $6,000 or $3 $6,000 bulls, whatever they are. They're really super expensive. And what did it do? It lifted them up. It dropped them in the same spot. It took out these places, their eyeballs. It takes out and it cauterizes stuff. It's not a bloodbath. It's a very sterile synthetic
Like surgical.
environment.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's what our government knows. And so I'm telling everybody, hey, what if our government, A, what if they knew about it? B, what if they learned to do it?
Good point. And it's a party now.
The party now. What if they learned to do it? It's just one of the moments that we're going to be dealing with now is like
It is.
whenever the balloons show up and Anthony's behind Anthony, it's fucking like that's the omen.
It's
Jesus.
a party.
So our government knows how to do that too. And I would tell you that our government probably spent some time testing on humans, and that will make us angry. So
But
they
I
should
think
tell
deep down we know
very
that.
about the truth. The longer that you continue the untruth, because here's the problem. The cataclysmic UFO disclosure is happening not because of our government right now. There are veterans out there. They're just like me. They were in the combat zone. They were in systems that seen secret stuff. I was in systems that seen secret stuff. I know what people do in those. They're like, come look at this. Come look at the hog that was killed on Balad Air Base. This huge ass, like 700-pound hog that was killed in Iraq. I guarantee there's people, I say that, there's veterans that have seen that hog on the secret systems. There would be people that saw UFOs too, right? And that piece is where the cataclysmic UFO disclosure is coming in, because it's regular people, veterans, that they don't even care. They don't care that, because they already know that they have some of the problems that veterans that are getting paid disability for seeing the same thing are. That we're not in this. You hurt us,
Right?
and you allowed things to come at us, and then you tell us that we're not allowed to tell anybody. So that's what they're going to get. It's a
Yeah.
direct. It's a direct, and that's why people like me, veterans, we listen to Lou Elizondo. Yeah, Lou Elizondo came from this. Yeah, Lou Elizondo, blah, blah, blah. Intelligent. Who gives a shit? He's a veteran. He's retired. And put his name on the list. Listen to what he has, and let's follow it through. Put
You
all of
risk
his work.
everything. These
Right.
people are risking everything.
Yeah.
Clearance is everything. Why would they do that if
Right.
if they didn't believe in it? And I go back to like what we talked about initially, right? Like we trust these guys to go over and fight wars for us and literally put our lives in their hands. They come back, we treat them like shit for the most part, or we try to give them like prescriptions and then be like, oh, you might be a little crazy after you say what you say, you know? And it's like, we're not going to listen to them, what they're saying. They can do all this superhero shit, but we're not going to listen to the words that are coming out of their mouth when they come back.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's where I think that, like, I can, it's this branch detailing with officers. It's this thing that they do with us. Everybody knows as an officer, you never get to just do your job. You're a special project something. He got special project. We need to talk about what they do to officers in the military. They make officers, and they're like, yeah, you're a chemical officer. You're you went to OCS. Now you're an infantry officer. That's the kind of things that the Army does. They're like, oh, you'll work. They'll just throw you in there, right? Based
I didn't
on,
know that. I really didn't know that.
yeah, they can do that kind of stuff. And they do that. I'm an example of that,
Right.
and I don't, and in my journey, I don't know if, like, obviously, I find like something magical happened to Lou Elizondo, and that's why he had to do what he did while he was on, because something happened around him. His first job, we should know his connection with Chris Bledsoe's family. We should just understand that. We should just get there. We should just get to understanding where Chris Bledsoe and Lou Elizondo and the Tom DeLonge photo is. And then we should just know that it exists, and that, yes, it's spiritual people. They're all talking about angels and God. They're not talking about anything else.
Right. Mr. Bledsoe's not talking about like green aliens and stuff. Like he's not talking about this. He's not talking about like being in like fear. What I grasp, and even, you know, like personal experiences here, like with having conversations. What I grasped, it was like the trauma like seemed to me like confusion. And then you have the confusion of what's happening to you. And then you have people not believing you. And then the people that you trusted, like your churches and all these people like making a like mockery out of you. And you're like, literally, this stuff is happening. Don't know how to explain it. But where do you go from this? And they're literally like turning.
I think we're the ones. Well, in our world, we know, you and I, we know about the Camp David napkin. We know about Chris Bledsoe's intersection with the lady sending a note to the president. We know about this. and it's all on the timeline of this, whatever this disclosure is. And I honestly believe disclosure is now about our ability to come together and accept what's real or not, to get enough intelligent people to go, well, let's follow the cookie crumbs. Were there pictures of this happening? Is there, we got to get people actually like doing work other than just like telling you, listening to you, and then tell you to read this book. Listening to you and then asking if you read that book. That's what they do. This world is about listening to you and asking if you read that book, and then tell you about the book they're thinking about writing.
Right. With no noses. All you're doing is literally somebody else's noses. Like
Right.
it's,
And
I don't think it's bad though, because you have to like, you have to learn about this stuff, right? But it's also
well, we're
like you have to
penetrating.
experiment.
We're the penetrators. We have to learn how to be the penetrating oil of this. We're the Hathor's bird of truth is the duck, right? So shout out to the Oregon Ducks and the duck of truth. But Hathor's truth, and the only way that we can get there is to lubricate this. We have to penetrate truth by lubricating it with love. And the only way that we can lubricate it with love is like exploring with an open mind, not 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 from an I think. I see things happening that are not written about in the world religion that I come from,
Right.
but they are written about in other world religions and other world mythologies. And so in my journey, I found that to be very mind blowing, because why does my chosen world religion not openly talk about things from above? And when you do talk about them, why are the people that you talk to them about, why do they only tell you that it's demons or evil? You have to think about, why would you have if they all they talk about is these angels and stuff, but then you tell them the ain't, and all they tell you is that it's evil. There's only one way. It doesn't make sense, especially if you've not had an evil experience.
Right.
And
Right.
and for me, I get to tell people I've healed, and they go, "Oh, you haven't healed." I said, "Do you want to look at my blood work? Do you want to look at the last blood work that I did with my doctor?" And they're going, "Man, you've been on all of these meds for your whole life. You For the last 20 years, you're not on anything. I'm not on anything, nothing, and all of my blood work is perfect. Isn't there's something weird about that?"
And your body, let's talk about your body. Did your body transform too?
My body transformed. I lost over 70 pounds by doing nothing. Right. I was when this started off, I was still getting treatments for my thyroid cancer. I've had half of my thyroid removed. I've been on thyroid medication since 2013 when I had my thyroid cancer. I received feeling inside of me, the same type of feeling that kept me going back to the doctor. There was something going on inside of me, and I kept going back to the doctor. They took a lymph node, then they took another lymph node, then they did another biopsy, and then they found cancer. And so part of this journey of me going inward is understanding that I knew something was wrong with my body, and they found cancer. And they found cancer when it was microscopic. So I was going to the doctor for over 6 months, like I've never gone before, because I was waking up in so much pain. My lymph nodes, they couldn't do anything with the lymph nodes in my groin. I'm telling you, I had to walk bow legged. I was going, this all happened. You know when it started?
Hmm.
When I got off my ass and started going to social work. So as soon as I started walking towards the light, it attacked whatever the darkness is, it went at me with cancer. And it's really happened. Got my service dog, started social work school, and I got cancer. Thank you, son. Are you leaving?
And a lot of people would see that as a negative. But in reality, you figured it out on your own because you trusted yourself, intuition, higher self, whatever. You trusted that. You were able to go get it taken care of. And then you were able to heal from trauma as well. So not really negative either. And now you
Yeah,
can show other people how to heal.
yeah, and exactly that. Knowing that, like, I have this, I know that like the same hospital that I was getting hospitalized in was the same hospital I gave therapy in, right? That I was a social worker, and and I gave supportive counseling. I was a family support coordinator, so it wasn't like psychotherapy. I was giving supportive counseling to family members, which is important, right? Because it's about this warrior journey. Yeah, the warrior's journey, but I can guarantee you for my own journey, my family was injured for my service. My family was injured for my service. And so it is about articulating. For me, it is transmutating and then teaching people now what I learned, but not as a social worker, just as a human, applying that as like this is what I learned as a human how to heal. And yes, it definitely is based in my social work background, but I've already connected it to the spiritual piece. I've already gone beyond. I got my master's degree in social work, and I passed my LCSW. I've moved beyond that. I'm at like, what was it all for? Why would it want me to understand that like Erickson's stages of change and spirituality for people that are aging, people that are going into a certain age group? What would happen to combat veterans if they were put into a disability process 20 years earlier? Would that do the same things to their mind and their way of thinking? It might do that to people, right?
Or why isn't there a process for whenever a military professional comes back, why, or anybody when they're coming back from a traumatic experience, why don't we already have something set into place? Like, hey, by the way, when you come back from war, like you have to go through this, or you have like a buddy system or whatever. Like, do they have anything like that? Are they like,
No,
here are your
no,
resources, we want to help you?
no. And that is 100%. I will tell you, that is 100%. Maybe a lot of people don't know, when I went to the VA, I applied for a VFW student, a VFW, the inaugural Student Veterans of America, and VFW policy group, a national level policy group that was going to be a fellowship. They were going to bring 50 veterans from around the nation to go do advocacy in DC for veterans. And when I did that in 2015, there were two things significant. I called Laura, I'm not going to say her last name, but I called the top VA official. I looked her up in the VA database, and I called the highest ranking social worker in our VA, and I told her, hey, Laura, my name is Anthony Ross Kennedy. I'm a disabled retired captain, and I'm an intern in the VA. And because I found your number on here, I want to tell you something right now. And I told her straight up. I said, I'm getting ready to go do advocacy in DC. And there's things that I think that my family went through that I'm taking advantage of my time. And I'm going to advocate right now through my access to you that we need to listen to families, veterans, families. We have to account for the family members. And so when I went to DC, I was doing that. I was sitting in front of lawmakers, knowing the heartache that I personally went through. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm a freaking retired Army captain officer, and it's freaking very difficult. I cannot even imagine what it would have been like when I got out of the military the first time as an E1 or an E2 or an E3. An E3. I got out as an E3, a junior enlist. I can't imagine how hard it would be. I can't even imagine, because I have all of this other stuff going on that I don't have to worry about pay and stuff because of my disability and stuff like that. But they may have to worry about all of that kind of stuff, and it makes it very difficult. And so my heart is all about the families and the healing from that. And to be honest, what's unfolding right now, the free energy removes, we won't be going to war so much. We won't be, the warring stops.
No more.
Because we're bringing a new technology that brings a paradigm of like, oh, we go from the haves and have nots to everybody pretty much has. And because we understand how magical we are, we start to move our concentration and our thinking in a very different way.
Well, if you
With
think about
mind.
it, yeah, think about it though. Like TikTok, for example, right? Like, what are we all actually doing on TikTok? A majority of us, right? That are like actually like creating videos and stuff. Like we're connecting, we're sharing ideas,
We're
right?
uplifting consciousness.
Right. But in reality, like with the free energy stuff, like we're gonna be like kids again, doing that through same things like TikTok. Hey, look what I did today. I built this out of free energy, or I built this out of this, and you'll
Yeah,
share it, or
yeah,
I
because
feel this
right,
way, and then it'll be
that's
like the
exactly
same type of
it,
thing,
Jamie.
I think.
That's exactly it, Jamie. I think we get a couple people just kind of stimulated. What could the technology and the free energy bring? Do you think realistically it would make, you could use it to make humans have to work less, and we utilize technology in an ethical, real way, and humans work less? And what did we do when we initially, when the, at least in Oregon, when the fires hit and the pandemic hit, there was nothing to do. I know that TikTok across the nation and all of that was flooded. People were making all kinds of just art. People were doing all any, because there was nothing to do. And what they did is they found fun in family. They found fun in community. They were, even though it was pandemic, we were still trying to come together as a community. And
We like
that's
had to, like we had to. It's almost
right.
like that was like our only like connection, and we're reaching out all over the world. We're like, hey, we see this on our news in New York. Is that really happening in New York? Because we can't trust our government anymore, which is probably why they don't want things like TikTok, right? Because we are actually uniting and working together. And
Yeah.
that scares the shit out of them.
That is a very big thing, is the uniting, is that me knowing, like, I don't make any qualms. I voted as an adult more on the Republican side than the Democratic side, right? As an adult. But I've never thought, um I've always thought purple.
Same.
I've
I've been
thought,
accused of being a Democrat. I'm like, I'm literally like in the middle. Like, I just love everybody, but
yeah,
I like both
yeah.
sides.
This thing has made me think about even that, right? Because what's unfolding is even, like, that's why you hear me like, I can't even play this game anymore. It's above like Joe Biden. It's above Donald Trump. It's above Putin. It's like
It's
this thing
above
is like,
names. It's above the highest
yeah,
names that you can possibly give it. It's above that.
right. It's so above. This is how far above it is. It is Mikhail Gorbachev and Ronald Reagan talking about the others. And it's me telling people, hey, remember, go Google Gorbachev and Reagan talking about the others. They'll go Google it. Now, go Google this, Mikhail Gorbachev being questioned directly. Were you talking about UFOs? Yes. Okay, what did that mean? It means we would come together. That's what's happening right now. We're going to come together. It's not the world oligarch oil system, because that's old energy.
Yeah.
That time period is up. We are on the new energy. We're bringing in slide 9, A-tip slide 9. Google that thing, A-tip slide 9. If we aren't bringing that energy, then we're definitely bringing the energy of the UFO patent that the U.S. Navy patent. And if we're not bringing that energy, we're going to go to the Department of Energy, and the government patents, the 500 patents that are denied each year. Hunter's going to drum it in for us. We're going to bring that
Yeah.
energy.
Because it's not just theirs, it's ours.
It's
And
not
that's
just
what's being
that.
apparently shown to everybody. Like we
They
gave you
make,
the opportunity, and now it's time for us to take it too.
oh, they took it. They took it.
They
And
took it.
now they did take it. They took it and they hid it away. And the archetypes on sun cycles, they embody the best modern day analogy of what kind of energy they embody. It would be much like Robin Hood. It would be like Robin Hood. It would be like Robin Hood, like kind of like Pittsburgh Steeler grit type stuff. It'd be like Robin Hood, Pittsburgh Steeler, like, I don't think so. I don't, it would be the common blue collar people, regardless of political affiliation, going, what? Coming
Right.
to an epiphany of what? Like me, and that's what I know is going to happen. I came from Lebanon, Oregon, Milltown, had the same exact things happen that Pittsburgh Steel had to them. Little tiny towns all over.
I didn't hear it.
Hunter's giving it to us. Show us
Hunters,
what you got, Hunter.
what is that? Like, especially like Marines, like they're aware of that. But do you have like training? It's like to prepare you mentally for that?
No, but I'll tell you stuff I know as a mental health therapist because I wrote papers on it. You have to just go throw it down the stairs and let it rip. That's what you have to do.
Because maybe people in the world, some people think they like, like somebody that's going off to war, like that they're just all completely prepared, that like our people are giving them everything that they need. And I think part of what we're highlighting is that no, they're giving everything that they need to go fight the battle. They're not giving everything that they need to make sure that the soldiers are okay.
that the argument is in the that thought process is in this. It needs to be adjusted here. Here's where it needs to be adjusted. We have anything and everything to physically remove you from wars. You can get non-existent, really hard things that hardly do anything to you, bone spurs. You can get bone spurs in your feet, and while you're in the service, and you're still just going to be doing that, right? And but nobody talks about all the predispositions. I will tell you, there's peer-reviewed papers that tell you that if you let these people in the military, they know beyond a doubt if they're going to suffer from some known illnesses. There's papers written about why we should have mental health evaluations before military service. You know why? Because people who have PTSD, trauma, and all that stuff, it all gets exacerbated when you give PTSD and trauma. And they did all of these studies with mostly the studies that I remember reading about are Vietnam and post World War II veterans. Okay, and then the forgotten warriors, which would be the warriors from Korea, which was my grandfather fought in Korea. So they learned that like people who have all of these predispositions shouldn't be going to war, just like a person who has a knee injury, just like a person who has a bone spur. But we don't.
They didn't care about.
We don't care about it, but we reap the rewards of what happens when they go. And I will tell you that I happen to believe that your world government and your world military may know exactly that, knowing that the UFO phenomena is connected to the outliers, the people who have trauma, the people who have experienced psychosis, and they allow for that because it allows them to find out who they are while they're in their service. They find out the people who have the fractaled energy while you're in service. If they're measuring people's brain energy on Skinwalker Ranch,
right,
with some dude sitting in a lawn chair having his brain measured while he's seeing the same damn UFOs that I've seen, that you've seen, and they're measuring it, that means that same technology was top secret at one point. It means it was very secret. And that means, what is that technology using it, and where was it 30 years ago?
And where would they use it to experiment without anybody knowing about it when they could have full surveillance on their subjects?
Yeah. Have I mentioned I want to figure out how to get my brain scan from Walter Reed? I know the Walter Reed that I went to is no longer existent. I don't know if the brain scan is at Walter Reed or is it at the VADC. I know that one day they made me talk about my trauma 3 times, things that you don't do as a therapist. You do not do this as a therapist. You do not make your clients go talk about their whole thing over and over and over. So much so that it's physically giving them symptoms. And they did this to me. They had me go from one facility to the next floor. And then they had me get in the car and go with Lindsay all the way across town where they have valet parking at the VA. And then they did it to me again. And then that night, I had mind blowing insanity with Lindsay. Mind blowing insanity. And so I know that I would like to see the brain scans of that. I don't even know where they're at, but Lindsay remembers when they scanned my brain, they went and got the other doctors because something was going on. They went out and got the other doctors. And I'd like to see that because I think they activated something in my own journey. Something along that line.
Yeah, and like by recreating the moment, maybe they were able to see something.
That's what I think is yeah, exactly that. Exactly that.
By like
But
making you go through that over and over again, you were mentally putting yourself in that position to be there mentally.
yeah, and I know that it's like that's a flooding technique. That's a technique that you might use in therapy. It also might be a technique that you would use to evaluate somebody to see how much of arousal you can this talking about it brings up in them. So I do think about the positive things because I know as a therapist I would be, oh, if he talks I'd be I'd be noting all of those. I don't know if it was planned or if this is just part of the madness of the system that I was in then, right? I don't even know. But I know that my mind was affected because here I am in a psych ward at Walter Reed Army Hospital after I have 2 significant combat tours where I'm rated very highly. Like I did very well in combat. I'm rated very highly. I came home from the first time and I having some weird fucking snake attack that's so significant. I wake up the next day and with I still have blood on my knee. Going telling my commander, you would not believe what happened in my house last night. And it's so telling him so significant that he's like, Lieutenant, go get the government vehicle. We're going to Portland. We got to go talk to some people. Do you see? And for me, that was like, oh, I went through something really significant, apparently. And I was fighting a snake.
Right. So what did that mean to you after you did research with that?
That is the energy that is being released to Earth. It's an energy that comes, and you can either be consumed by it, or you can learn how to use it. Choose wisely, Mr. Kennedy. That's what the energy was to me. Then 2 years later, I didn't choose wisely. I didn't listen or anything. I had no worldview. I think that there are times on Earth when if that occurred, they knew what to do. People around that person knew what to do. And the whole family, even the family, like an uncle, a brother, a sister would have known. He had the snake experience. We all lived through it. We all just had a phenomena or poltergeist experience. How was it a phenomena or poltergeist experience? It was so significant. My ex-wife kicked me off the bed. She was definitely scared. And friggin' she was scared. She was scared enough that it was used in child custody for the same thing. Because my body was doing something that it was fighting fighting the energy, not knowing what it was. I was fighting it, right? I think I was wrestling it.
If you think about it, were you not wrestling with it?
I was wrestling with if I really think about it now, I was because it was consuming me. And I know when I was choking. I was choking it. And so I know when I was awakened, when I was kicked off the bed and awakened, the first thought to me was, why would you like I didn't why would you stop? I was in the middle of freaking battle and I don't And
Right.
how in the middle of battle, and then next thing you know, my children are standing there screaming, she's crying, and I'm bleeding. That's what happened. But I had the memory that I'm fighting the snake.
Right. Yeah.
And then all of the physiological arousal was in me. Like all of like I was like like the consumption of it.
You just hit a thumbs up. Did you see
Really?
that? Yes.
That's funny.
It literally just did a thumbs up. I
How does it do that?
don't know. My phone doesn't do that. But no, that's so interesting because like I told you, I grew up having like snake dreams, right? And like my mom was always terrified like of snakes. So anytime I had the dreams, I was always like terrified. Well, the older I grew, like I'm like, and especially like last year, I'm like, it feels like it's trying to teach me something, like it's like at first I'm like terrified of the snakes, right? But then I'm like, there, I told you the one, there's like a path, right? And it's covered with snakes. And I'm like, hell no, I'm not going over that path. Like, no, 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 no. And then I have another dream to where it's like, they're just in the water. And I'm like, still, hell no, I'm not going over that path. And then, I look back and I'm like, okay, so there's no snakes anywhere. And I cross the path and I look back and they were everywhere. And I'm
Yeah.
like, we're there the whole freaking time. Like, I feel like my snake dreams, even though they were like absolutely traumatizing as a kid, but when I think about it, it was never trying to like actually like hurt me. It was just close nearby me and like trying
Right.
to get me to do things.
Yeah. And what I like what you're doing is you're trying to develop some context about what's going on, right? Because I think that's indicative of what's going, me knowing that I've had this snake experience, but then it was in whatever I went to my dad's I think it was his 35th year reunion with the people from Vietnam, right? And so I fly my dad to Pennsylvania and I take him over to this place in Ohio, and he's going to meet with people that he was in combat with. And one of the two things, first of all, some of them were surprised that he was there because the last time they saw him, his body was getting thrown on top of other men who were just killed, and they took him away and they never saw him again because he changed positions and stuff. And so it was a neat, but the other piece of the experience is they all talked about, remember, they all remember this. They sat on this giant snake, a snake that was so big that it was like they all thought it was a log. This guy was like, yeah, remember when he lost all his food? They were like really scared. They sat on a giant snake in the jungle. And so they're telling me this, right? That's weird, isn't it?
Yes.
But my dad's always had that story, right? He's always had that story. The story that I didn't have is that my mother, when she was 15 years old, some older person used drugs. They date raped her, and with acid, right? And she had an experience of being swallowed by a snake,
Oh my God.
right? And then I, like you, in my snake experiences, I'm like you. I've never liked snakes. I'm not a person that likes touching them. I don't like the smell of them. I've never been into them at all. But I will tell you, in gosh, I'm not. I don't remember. I don't exactly remember. I think it's 2020, but Hunter was here and we all went to the coast. So I went with Hunter, Laura, and we were at the coast and we were overlooking an embankment. And there was some trail work being done on this trail system that was going down to the beach. And we were just overlooking that. And these teens, they were cutting through all of the section. And I was sitting there overlooking this. And we were overlooking, and it was like 50 yards away, and we were all watching this group, and I was like, don't do that, that's just, stop doing that, just stop, stop, stop. And as soon as I said stop, 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 a freaking snake jumps out in the middle of the trail, and all three of the teens are screaming, and they jump back onto the regular trail, and the snake's right there. I can see it, and Laura can see it, right? We just observed something that I have no connection to. I don't all I know is that just happened as we were watching this, and it's kind of weird that I was going stop, 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 and it jumped out. I had no, I wasn't, I don't think I was seeing UFOs or anything yet. I don't think I was, I don't think I was awakened in that way yet. So it was a very strange experience
But there was still a connection.
with a snake, and 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 Laura was there. She this is one thing she knows she saw, and it's like, what was that? I don't know. It's like, what was the owl? I'm asking to see a UFO. I'm actually talking to the God consciousness, the thing that I know I'm actually saying, why the hell are you doing this to me? I've been asking for 6 months to show someone else, to fucking making me feel angry, and then showed me an owl, like
And
a
you're like,
trick.
it's just an owl. Just an owl. Please show me. Show me yourself. And you're like, there's just an owl. We're literally like filming, and then like we're having conversations on the phone, and I'm like, yeah, like I'm just trying to like, figure it out. And it's like, whoosh, whoosh. And you're like, oh, it's just an owl.
Mhm.
That's part of what's happening, is we're not seeing this in everything. We're like,
Yeah,
we're like the UFO. We need a UFO. We need little green men in the UFO, and then we'll
and
believe. That's not
and
it.
Jamie, you're stimulating something in me that I haven't even thought about. I had the owl experience in my house,
Yeah.
in when I first started dating Laura. Why that's significant? She said, hey, this is when we were just dating. We just started dating. She asked me to come over to her house on Cherry Grove. And I'm like, okay. I go over there. She's like, I set up the telescope in the backyard. You can see, she knows I've never seen anything significant through a telescope. So
It
she's like,
was
she
fake.
wants to, right. She wants to bring me into this world. Right. And so she's like, I see Saturn.
Yes.
Then I spent some time at Laura's house. We just hung out and had some nice dinner and did all the kinds of things that you would do, that new people dating each other would do. And then I went to my house, and there was an owl in my house.
There was an owl in my house. Totally normal, by the way. Like this is
Totally.
totally normal. You had owls, I had bats. And it's like, and snakes in the house. I
Hey,
killed a baby snake with a butter knife. I feel so bad now.
you're amazing. Did I know I keep forgetting to tell you, but I get to tell you right now. I found a post on my Facebook from, I think it's 2017, that talks about my night of bats and owls at my house in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, awesome. It's fucking awesome.
Okay, well, we have to come together, move with love, move towards reality. We have to question, why are senators talking about UFOs and God? We actually have to come to this and move beyond. If there's two senators, are there more?
Right. And what does it mean? Like, what is it meaning to these people whenever they're having these interactions, so we can get to what it actually means? Like, we need more of that. Like, people like experimenting, trying to like go in, trying to figure out what this is for like on their own.
Nothing,
Childlike.
nothing is going to come to earth and be a savior, but something will come to earth and work together as a team.
Right.
I know to be true. It wants to do like social work. You will not work harder than your clients. That's social work 101. The energy of Osiris, Hathor, and Amun Ra energy, this Horus energy, it is a social worker in the environment, and it does not work harder than the people in the environment. So it has to have, it's testing the will. Do you have a will to survive, that you want to like create something other? Because the energy, because we because we gain insight about who and what we are, and it doesn't matter which way you go. From my perspective, the humans on Earth might have a lot different perspectives on that. Okay,
All right. That's
you're
a
amazing.
Your
Okay,
roommate. All
are we
right,
done?
we're done for today. Well, we might